Righto, we're going to have a quick look now at how to load a 120 roll film onto a developing reel. Now if you've watched the previous video that we've done about how to develop black and white film, in that video we used 35mm film. Now the actual developing process is exactly the same for 120 roll film and 35mm film. It is the same film. The only thing that's slightly different is the way that you load the film into the reel, obviously because it's packaged differently and it's assembled differently. So we're just going to have a quick look at the differences. Okay, now, everything we're about to see here is the same as we did in the changing bag in this video, so it's exactly the same process. Same developing tank, okay, and inside it's exactly the same reel. Now, if you remember from the previous video that we did, these reels come in two pieces. Okay, so we can take the reel apart and it's in two halves. Now, the beauty of these reels is that they are actually adjustable. They've got 3 different width settings on them. So if you completely click them together, they're 35mm film. And then there's 2 additional settings. The one in the centre I think is for 220 roll, which you don't really use these days, and the outer one is the one we want, which is the one for 120 roll film. As you can see here, clicking it into those different positions. Yep, so you can see how it works. When you put the film together, you can just click it in different places. So I've put that on the widest setting, which you can see lines up with a 120 roll film. So that is now set up, ready to go. Okay, I'm just going to pop it onto the spindle from the developing tank just to make that a bit easier. Now this is, from this point forward, you must do this inside the changing bag as we saw in that video. I'm just doing it in normal light to show you. I'm sacrificing this film for the greater good. Okay, so first things we need to do is unroll the film. Again, this is all inside the changing bag. So we just start to pull off the paper backing, and eventually what will happen, you'll see here, you can see it there, the film will start to emerge. Now I dare say there are people out there who will say at that point you should start rolling it onto the reel. I find if I do that, I get myself in an absolute tangle and I get paper wrapped around everything, so what I prefer to do is take the whole thing off the roll before I start. Okay, so you can see we've got the film separated, and it's attached at the end there with a piece of tape onto the paper backing. So if you just rip that tape off very carefully so you don't rip the film, and there we are, we've separated the film from the paper backing. So now we've just got a roll of film. Okay, now obviously this film is not protected, so I'd probably recommend trying to handle it as little as possible and just try and handle the edges. Don't try not to touch the surface of the film if you can avoid it. Okay, we can see the same 2 little tabs that we had when we did it with 35mm film. And the process from this point forward is pretty much the same. Slide the film in between those 2 little triangular tabs, as we did before, and then it just ratchets on. Exactly the same. Sometimes you find you get yourself, it's a little bit trickier, obviously because the film is bigger and because it's been wound up a bit more tightly, it tends to want to keep curling up and getting in the way. You're probably more likely to find with this film that it will come out of the guide rails, those 2 little triangular tabs. It may come out from behind them, in which case you just need to gently squeeze it back in again and it will carry on loading. Okay, so again we just ratchet it on exactly the same as we did with the 35mm film, just being careful to keep unrolling it as we go round. Again, just try and handle it by the edges up. You can see what's just happened there, it has just come out of the guides, so just gently reinsert it. Try not to crease the film. And there we go, so it's now completely wound on. And again, from this point forward, it's exactly the same. You just want to make sure that's the right way up, drop it back inside the tank, and seal the tank. And there you go, ready to develop. So if you want to develop that now, just follow the process exactly the same as we did in the previous video. And there we go, unloaded tank. So thank you again, take care, we'll see you soon.